Jamie Peterson. I want to thank the Attorney General and the Governor both for their leadership, for their willingness to put their reputations and their political capital at work to make these bills happen and to make so many other things happen over the past few years. You know, when I reflect, I was talking with Representative Kagi here a moment ago about what the legislature was like in 2006 when I got here. There were 38 members of the House Democratic Caucus who wrote a letter to Speaker Chop saying, don't bother bringing any gun control bills to the floor because we will vote against them. 6 years later, after Sandy Hook, Speaker Chop and then Senator Frocht and I met with Eric Liu and Nick Hanauer at the founding of the Alliance for Gun Responsibility, and they asked us, what are you going to do? What can you do? And we sort of said, well, gosh, I'm not sure, given the realities of the legislature, that we can do anything. But we'll try. And we tried with the bill that eventually became Initiative 594 after the Alliance for Gun Responsibility brought that to the ballot box. You know, at that time, the conventional wisdom was that support for gun responsibility measures was a mile wide but an inch deep. And the NRA was capable of incredible organizing and would turn out people in Olympia and then would turn out people in elections to make sure that folks who voted in swing districts for these kinds of bills would never come back to these halls. And I think the story of the last 10 years is a complete overturning of that idea. As the Grandmothers Against Gun Violence and the Moms Demand Action and the Alliance for Gun Responsibility built an astonishing coalition of people who have interacted with the voters through a series of initiatives and interacted with the legislature through a series of bills to ensure that we are doing everything that we can and consistently making progress toward reducing gun violence and preventing gun violence in our state. The bill that I was privileged to prime sponsor is one that's very much in line with my general approach to bills in the legislature. It's kind of a background bill that I think will help all of the other legislation work better because it causes the people who are directly involved in the manufacture and sale of firearms to become very interested in enforcing all of the other laws that we have been successful in passing over the last few years. It imposes on them liability for a failure to impose reasonable controls on those firearms. So if you think you're going to sell high-capacity magazines, guess what? Now the Attorney General has a new tool to make sure that you can't do that, or to sell assault weapons if you're a retailer. If you're a manufacturer who's going to target youth with a message about how cool it is to go shoot assault weapons, guess what? You may have some responsibility the next time that there is a mass shooting. We know, as the governor said, that we will never stop all gun violence. But I think as we have grown through the pandemic to have a greater appreciation for what it means to take a public health approach to this problem, to have a wide range of small measures, we know that we are saving lives. And that is the inspiration that I think gives all of us energy to keep doing this work. I am pleased to turn the podium over now to my neighbor in Seattle, Representative Liz Berry, who has been absolutely tireless in advocating for a new policy that we haven't been talking about for 7 years, but this idea that there ought to be a long waiting period, 10 days at least, before somebody is able to purchase a firearm. She came to me in my office and said, "Pretty please, can you help get this through the Senate?" She really is very persistent and effective. And I'm delighted to introduce Liz Perry. Thank you.
First, I want to thank everyone in this room who has made this day possible. So thank you to everyone here. And Governor Inslee, thank you for working with me on my bill that I'm here to talk about today. I ran for office 3 years ago because I was angry. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. I wanted to do something about it. Too many of our friends and neighbors are being killed by gun violence in our communities, and that is unacceptable. I'm the mom of 2 little kids, and it's devastating to me that gun violence is the #1 cause of death for children in our country. I have also lost someone I love to gun violence, Gabe Zimmerman, who was killed in the Tucson shooting. Enough is enough. And just a few years ago, Washington State received a C grade for gun safety measures by the Giffords Law Center. When Governor Inslee signs these bills into law today, our grade will be an A. But I'm here to talk about my bill 1143, which will implement a 10-day waiting period and mandatory safety training for all firearm purchases. The reason this bill is so important is because on January 1st, 2024, our centralized background check system will come online here in Washington, and that means instantaneous background checks for all firearm purchases. We know that this cooling off period is critical, that people who are in crisis, it really helps stop gun violence in these situations. We know that 50% of all suicides are committed by a firearm, and that the safety training is important because it will teach people critical information like safe storage, safe handling, and how to keep guns out of the hands of kids. 39% of firearm owners have never received a firearm safety training. This bill will save lives. I just want to end with this. Kids are marching in the streets, students are marching, young people are demanding that people like us up here, people with power, do something to end gun violence in their communities, in their schools, in their churches, and on their playgrounds. We see you, we hear you, and today we are doing something about it. Thank you. Representative Strom Peterson, my partner in all things.
Wow, today's the day. See if I make it through this speech. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Attorney General Ferguson. It's been a journey. Paul. So we're standing here today and just reflect on the crowd and those that have been standing with us. We can kind of get to go almost generationally. We have the grandmothers against gun violence who have been steadfast in their commitment to their families and their communities. And the Sea of Red with Moms Demand Action. Again, this grassroots support that has had my back and the backs of so many others as we did struggle to even get a hearing for some of these bills. But really, most importantly, as Representative Berry noted, are the kids. Pretty much every year I have the honor and opportunity of talking to Mrs. Titus's civics class at Mariner High School. And every year, and they come up with the best questions. But every year the #1 question is, what are you going to do about gun violence? Every year. So many years I didn't really have an answer. We're trying. We're working on some little things. Last year, I got to give a much bigger answer. We banned the sale of high-capacity magazines, thanks to the work, again, Bob Ferguson, my seatmate, Senator Leas. But this year, I get to go to that class, stand up, and say, because of you asking me that question, because of you marching in the streets, because of you refusing to go to class, because your friends are dying across the country, Washington State is leading the way. Washington State is banning assault weapons. Washington State is going to drastically reduce suicides and accidental shootings. And Washington State is going to make sure that gun manufacturers are responsible for their actions. This is a day that's been a long time coming, but a day that's here. And I couldn't be prouder to stand again with Governor Inslee, First Lady Inslee. Thank you so much. But with my colleagues who have been at this for so many years, but most of all, with the citizens of Washington who have led the way. And I'm just glad that we were able to follow and make this happen. Thank you all for being here.
Okay, we're here for House Bill 1143. This bill establishes a 10-day waiting period and a safety training requirement for firearm purchases starting January 1st, 2024. Putting a buffer of time between a person in crisis and a firearm can and will be the difference between life and death. For others, for their neighbors' children, and for their own families. While training is already required for the purchase or transfer of semi-automatic rifles, this legislation extends that requirement for all firearms. Now, I know we've all been inspired by people, and Liz has done a fantastic job with Senator Elias on this, but how about a round of applause for former Representative Gabby Giffords, who's been an inspiration to the conference. So we don't have a waiting period necessity for signing a good bill, so I'm signing this bill. So. Congratulations, everyone. Let's smile for the camera here just a second. All right, big smiles. Thanks. Oh, Angie, you did a good job. Where's Liz? Where are you? Stand here. Wait, stand here with the picture. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. All right. Okay, this is House Bill 1240. This bill prohibits the sale, import, distribution, or manufacture of any military-style assault weapon in the state of Washington starting today. I'm happy to say that today. It's nice to have friends. Individuals who violate this new law can be charged with a gross misdemeanor, punishable up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. Firearm dealers have 90 days to sell or transfer their existing assault weapon inventory purchased before January 1, 2023. With my signature, we have become the 10th state in the country to adopt an assault weapons ban. And I do want to note that we lead the country in so many ways, and we are leading on this to have 3 bills. I'm not sure any state has ever taken 3 steps on one day that we have had. We know we need to continue this effort on a national basis. And our message and beacon from the state of Washington against the NRA is a national beacon for hope for the whole country. And I want to thank a few other folks who've worked on this for decades. A guy named Bill Clinton, who signed the original ban. A fellow named Joe Biden, who wants to finish the job, which I appreciate. And a friend of mine named Earl Pomeroy, who's a buddy from North Dakota, who I stood next to, and we've cast some of the pivotal votes to ban this in 1994. That was the right vote in 1994, and it's the right law to sign today. I'm very happy about this. all want to thank Representative Peterson, who's a prime sponsor of this bill. His support has been unwavering. Representative Peterson first introduced the bill in 2017 after the Mukilteo mass shooting. We also want to thank Senator Cooter for great work and Attorney General Bob Ferguson, who's been indefatigable in his effort now for several years. Congratulations to everyone in this step forward. We know we have more work to do, but this is a great thing for the state of Washington. Congratulations. I need another pen. Who's got a pen? I need a pen here. I need 2 pens for this. Okay. Is Trudy around? Trudy, could you join us over here just for a second? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We're here for Senate Bill 5078. This requires firearm industry members to establish and enforce reasonable controls on the sale, distribution, and marketing of their products. We are asking firearm dealers and manufacturers to make sure that they comply with our firearm laws while doing business in Washington state. Simply put, this bill increases the accountability of firearm dealers and manufacturers and holds the industry to reasonable standards going forward, standards that can and will save lives. I want to thank Senator Peterson for his sponsorship and his work on this important bill, as well as the companion bill sponsor, Representative Hackney. I'm signing this with 2 pens. First, one for Jamie. Jamie, congratulations. And the other for a woman, when I first started working with her, she was a mother against gun violence. Now she's a grandmother against violence, Trudy Inslee. So she gets this pen. Congratulations to everybody. Trudy, all right. Okay, I need a okay, let's smile for the camera here. Okay, guys. Congratulations to everybody. Enjoy. Thanks, buddy. We're thinking of you and your daughter. What a great act of leadership. Thank you so much. Okay, party safely tonight, okay? Thank you very much.